Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Elisa and I love making videos geared towards styling tips, different styling aesthetics, beauty, and I even throw in little doses of my own style journey. Now, I would love to keep the discussion going around these sorts of topics, so I would invite you to subscribe, comment, like, and share so that way we can really bring together a community. And with each video that I make, I hope that you guys walk away feeling a little more inspired. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite aesthetics, and it's that sort of moody mountain aesthetic that we've seen totally take over Instagram. Now, I'm from Colorado, so this aesthetic in particular really speaks to me. So if you want to see how to incorporate this cool, adventurous aesthetic into your wardrobe, stay tuned and let's dive straight into the video. Okay, so let's take a look at some points of inspiration for this aesthetic. Now, I think this aesthetic really started to gain traction on Instagram, where we saw adventure photographers and videographers taking beautiful images of these gorgeous landscapes and then editing them in a way that kind of gave us this eerie, moody vibe, yet it was still inviting and cozy. The settings often feature fog or low-lying clouds, which really speak to this aesthetic. It kind of adds this level of mystery. And overall, the images are dark and almost give this monochromatic feel. And in images where there's a variety of colors featured, the focus is usually kept on one color. So the entire image is never going to be vibrant because that would really take away from the dark and moody effect. Now, obviously, a huge aspect of this particular aesthetic as it pertains to the wardrobe is going to be the functionality, because the whole idea of this aesthetic is that you're participating in mountainous activities. So at the end of the day, this aesthetic really does provoke a particular kind of lifestyle. Okay, general description. Now, this moody mountain aesthetic mostly consists of practical elements. It's a really great example of function over fashion, yet there's still a lot of room for stylization, which I love. Now, similar to the grunge aesthetic, this aesthetic is meant to be kept very casual. The whole idea or theme of this aesthetic is that you seek adventure and that you're prepared to explore natural mountainous settings. Having said that, I think that there can actually be two tiers to this aesthetic. The first is going to be this complete functional aspect. So this would be the part of your wardrobe that's going to hold all of your key adventure pieces, like leggings or hiking pants, wool socks, hiking boots, seasonal jackets, sweaters, and beanies. The second tier would be this aesthetic's version of an elevated look. So it's going to be just a little more cleaned up. For example, if you're staying in one of these mountain towns and you decide to have a casual dinner at one of the local restaurants. But I think this would be the tier that a lot of us would gravitate towards if we were looking to incorporate this aesthetic into our everyday wardrobes. This is where we really start to stylize, and the functionality becomes a bit more secondary, but the aesthetic still pulls through. Now, overall, when I think of this aesthetic, I think of casual, functional, adventurous, carefree, natural, and of the earth. Okay, color palette. The colors in this aesthetic are generally very grounded and earthy. The core colors include moss green, army green, sand, camel, denim blue, brown, gray, and clay red. And none of the colors in these shades are super vibrant. They actually lean a little more muted. Jeans are either darker or more natural wash, and leggings come in one of the aforementioned colors or just black. Now, pops of brick reds, teals, and mustard yellows can be spotted, but they're used pretty sparingly. Okay, patterns and prints. Now, patterns and prints tend to draw inspiration from Southwestern or indigenous designs. And we do see that plaid is warmly welcomed, as well as relevant graphic tees. Okay, materials. So we see that materials really speak to the functionality of any moody mountain wardrobe. For example, we see that fleeces, flannel, and wool are used to help keep warm in the really cooler climates. And we see materials like denim, canvas, and leather are incorporated because they offer their durability. And then we see that woven cotton and stretch materials are used in more breathable athletic wear. Okay, details and accessories. So details in general are kept to a minimum because, again, we're approaching this from an aspect of functionality. So we might see some tie details or buckles, maybe some little eyelets, but nothing really more than that. Now, a detail that I notice and I actually use in my head to toe looks every now and again is the use of a wool sock layered over the top of your pant, and it's poking just out of the top of your boot. I think that this actually gives a really cool contrasting effect, so that way we're not met with this kind of harsh, here's the boot and then here's the pant. It's kind of like a really nice transition, and it adds that little bit of interest. The same can be said for accessories. Accessories are really kept to a minimum. We see that there might be an incorporation of some jewelry if it has some sort of context to your travels or your adventures. But other than that, we see very functional accessories such as sunglasses, backpacks, and fanny packs. All right, next up is construction. So a really important aspect of this aesthetic is keeping your core warm in those cooler climates that you might be exploring. And as a result of that, you might be creating a little bit more of a squared or boxy silhouette in those instances. But I'd say that overall, the construction is kept very airy and loosely fitted, especially from the waist up. It kind of represents this sense of freedom that runs through the vein of this aesthetic. We also see a practical amount of layering, and since this aesthetic really leans into the idea of function over fashion, there's no real reason for us to showcase our natural silhouette. But there's definitely not a complete absence of fitted garments in this aesthetic. We do see that leggings are used quite frequently, and rightfully so, because you are involving yourself in rigorous physical activity sometimes, but we also see that jeans can also have this fitted quality to them. Okay, next up we have hair. Now, hair in this aesthetic is kept very natural. Now, not so much necessarily with color, I noticed, because even if you're an adventure traveler or blogger, you somehow manage to get a lot of highlights or bleaching done. So I haven't quite figured that part out. But overall, I think the aesthetic pulls through that the natural texture of your hair is to remain. So overall, hairstyles are kept very natural and relaxed. We see that there's not any intentional styling going on. And in my opinion, I think that an all-over color with some sun-kissed highlights or balayage would look really fitting for this aesthetic. We see that hair is kept down and in loose, natural waves, or loosely pulled back into French braids, a side braid, or a messing bun. Either way, I think no matter your hair texture, what we're looking to convey here is an all-natural kind of look. Okay, makeup. So there's not really a whole lot to touch on when it comes to makeup in this aesthetic, because the whole idea is that you are leaning into kind of your natural beauty with this aesthetic. Now, that's not to say that you can't wear any makeup, but I would definitely keep it very, very toned down and just focus on accentuating your natural features. So the extent of makeup that I would wear for this aesthetic would be a tinted moisturizer, maybe some mascara, and a tinted lip balm, and that's it. That is all that we need to pull through any sort of makeup look in this aesthetic. Okay, so shoes. Now, shoes, in my opinion, in this aesthetic, play a very, very functional role, as well as bring in a lot of stylization. So first off, we have the shoes that are kind of more a part of that first tier that I was talking about, which is the functionality aspect of the wardrobe. So these would be your hiking shoes and hiking boots that you're going to be using during your daytime adventures. Now, these hiking shoes and hiking boots, we see that although they are primarily functional, we are able to still stylize them in a way if we're considering a head-to-toe look, even though the head-to-toe look is a complete functional look. So it's not to be disregarded that we have to wear, these hiking boots that are ugly or anything like that. They might not be a pair of your favorite, wedges, but they're still able to be incorporated into a head-to-toe look and into your wardrobe in a stylized kind of way. Okay, and then we have the shoes that reside more in that second tier that I was talking about. So this is the part of the aesthetic that I think a lot of us would gravitate towards in just our everyday lives. So if we're not engaging in rigorous outdoor activities that call for a rigid hiking boot, these are the type of shoes that we would incorporate into our wardrobes. And that would include things like moccasins, Birkenstocks, and then a variety of leather shoes, as well as casual leather boots. So these shoes are actually going to be great for going out to those dinners, or perhaps after you come back from rigorous activity, back to your lodge to turn in for the night, or back to your campground. Okay, so now that we have a complete breakdown of this aesthetic, let's take a look at 3 inspired looks. Okay, so first up here, we have this really simple approach to moody mountain aesthetic, and I love it. I think the aesthetic pulls through here so easily, and it's very simple, and with just a couple of pieces you can begin to incorporate this into your wardrobe. So first off, what really sticks out to me are her leather boots. Now this to me is where function meets stylization or fashion, because we see that the boots are not obviously any sort of rigid, rugged hiking boot, but at the same time they still bring in this level of stylization, and they're not so off the beaten path that she looks out of place when she's engaging in outdoor activities like what she's doing right now on this beautiful hike. So I love the construction of them. I love the color of them. I think that they're very fitting for this overall look and the aesthetic overall. Now the cargo pants are great. They do have that kind of cargo look, which adds that kind of element of functionality. And again, I love the color here, pulling through that kind of army green. I also love the silhouette of these pants. So they're not overly unfitted or relaxed. So we still get a little bit of her natural silhouette, which kind of brings in a little bit more of that stylization, especially with the taper at the ankle. I just love it. And then of course the top is where we really bring through that airy and relaxed, loosely fitted silhouette that's so that just runs really heavily in this aesthetic. And I can't tell what the decal is on her shirt, but I would assume that it's maybe a souvenir shirt that she got from one of maybe the monuments that she's visited or something like that. It's very applicable to the overall look. And then her head is kind of tilted up, but I do see that she's wearing a beanie. So again, great use of accessorizing here for the overall look. And she decided to she decided to use or incorporate a little bit more of a bold color. So it seems to be more of like this red, maybe brick red kind of color, which I think is great. It adds a little bit of pop of color and interest. And then obviously she did decide to go with a backpack because she is engaging in, an activity right now. But without the backpack, I think that this is just a great head to toe look if you're just out and about and looking to incorporate some pieces of the moody mountain aesthetic into your wardrobe. Okay, next up here we have look number 2, and I think that this is just the perfect combination of functional and fashionable. So we get the function from the boot here. I actually really love these boots. I think that they're so cool. They're such like a modern take on a snow boot. And I really love them. I love the color, and I especially love how the detail in the sole of the boot, that kind of brown camel detail, ties into her knit sweater. So we see here overall the head to toe look, basically from the boot up, are items that you might already have in your wardrobe. But what we're keeping in line here with is a general use of color palette and material. So the color of the jean here is very dark wash. It kind of pulls through that moody kind of aesthetic. And then the use of the cable knit sweater, it serves the functionality of keeping the core warm. And again, it is in alignment with the color palette. So I think overall here, the head to toe was thought out and it's very cohesive, but at the same time, it still keeps in alignment with the simplicity of this aesthetic. We also see that the cable knit sweater is loosely fitted. And again, the jeans here, they do offer us a little bit more of a closer fit to the body, so that way her natural silhouette in some way is accentuated, which I think is beautiful. Now, what I also really love here is her hair. So her hair doesn't look overly processed. It's very natural. I can tell that, there wasn't a overuse of any sort of styling here. And to me, it looks like there's almost a complete absence of makeup. Maybe she has some tinted moisturizer and has filled in her eyebrows a little bit, but overall, this very natural kind of beauty just radiates here. So I love, love, love this look. I actually feel like this is something that I would love to incorporate into my wardrobe, and it's just a really great example of a simple head to toe Moody Mountain aesthetic look that you can easily pull off in your kind of day to day, especially in the fall time. This is a perfect fall outfit that you wouldn't look out of place if you happen to be, running an errand. So I love, love, love this look. Okay, last up here we have look number 3. Now, this one I think it leans a little more on the functional side, but there's still enough of fashionable or stylized elements that really just make this look so cohesive. So first off, let's look at the boot. Now, these are some rugged hiking boots. I know exactly what kind of boot this is, and these are a very, very high level hiking boot. And, I think the old idea is that if you're wearing functional clothing, there's no way to stylize it. You're kind of trapped in this box of like, okay, well, this is kind of how I have to show up, is just very functional and I'm not going to look good. But this woman really gives us an example of how to stylize these very functional pair of boots in a way that's so appealing. So first off, I love the color of the boot. I think it matches so well with the fanny pack that she's picked out. Love that, by the way. Here we're bringing in that level of functionality because it frees her up to really, if she has to have hiking sticks or whatever she's doing, maybe she's on some sort of, tour or something like that. But it just adds a level of functionality that is wonderful, but also is really stylish. So I love how the boot and the fanny pack work together so well in this kind of like rich brown camel color. And then what I really like is the pop of color that we get from the wool sock that's brought above the top of the boot. I love this. I do it all the time. I have a pair of Timberland boots that I stylize quite often with a pair of wool socks that really just kind of peek out and offer a little bit of interest there. So she decided to use this sock in a way to bring in a pop of color. So it's kind of like this bright teal, which is fun. It adds a little bit of her personality in there. You can tell just from her bright smile that she probably does want to have a little bit of color in her wardrobe, add a little bit of interest. And then we have the complete functionality of these leggings, right? And they do, again, offer a little bit of insight into her natural silhouette, which is really great, but the functionality of them is still there. I mean, as of right now, we just have nothing but function, but everything is brought in a very stylized kind of way. So the shirt is just a very ordinary cotton, loosely fitted t-shirt, gives her a lot of room to move around and do whatever she needs to do on her adventures. And then the jean jacket. So depending on where she's at, she might want to layer up, but I'm assuming that this jacket is appropriate for the climate that she's in. And again, it is a little bit more loosely fitted, so we are creating a little bit more of a slouchy or boxy kind of silhouette, but it works. It overall is very harmonious with the entire look. I also love the wash of this jean jacket because it does give us a little bit of energy to the look with all of the dark tones that we have going on between the boots, the fanny pack, and the leggings, and of course her hat. This adds a little bit of airiness. It gives us a little bit of that sense of freedom. And then, of course, we have the hat. Now, the hat, I would say, is a little bit more of stylization over function, just because I've worn hats like this and a gust of wind comes and it's not really going to stay on. So it is a very cute element that she added, but it does serve the function of keeping the sun off of her face. So I think that as long as she's not on any sort of like mountaintops or anything like that, this is a great option. I would say that this outfit is very fitting if you're doing a lot of walking in kind of a setting like this where there's going to be cobblestone and a lot of just wear and tear on your feet. This is a great outfit, especially being from Colorado. You would not look out of place if you were in any of our mountain towns and you had this complete head to toe look. Now, I do notice that her hair is more styled here. She did put in the time to curl it, and then she does have some artificial color in it and everything like that, but it's not done to a point where she's pulling through any sort of glam or anything like that. So I think it's fine. It still kind of pulls through a little bit of that relaxed, wavy kind of vibe. And then her makeup, I can tell that she does have on some makeup, but it's not, again, overly done. She doesn't have glitter on the eyes or anything like that. She's done it in a very natural way. So I really love this look. I think it's a great base for a very functional yet stylish approach to going out on these adventures. So I'm super inspired by this outfit. Now guys, there's a ton of ways to incorporate this aesthetic into your wardrobe, and if you guys are looking for any additional images or points of inspiration, I'll leave my Pinterest board to the moody mountain aesthetic down below. But that is it for today. I hope that you guys walk away feeling just a little more inspired. As always, if you guys have any input, if you want to start a conversation, if you have any questions, I would love to meet you in the comment section down below. But that is it for today, and I will see you all at the next video. Bye!